Today I want to talk about product market and customer fit when you're launching your Shopify store or growing it and trying to make sure that your product's going to take off, get past that $1 million a year level and beyond, and how important this is. So let's start with some definitions. So you probably heard the term product market fit. So one of the inventors of that term, Andy Ratcliffe, called that a unique product offering that people desperately want. And so that's kind of touches on what I want to talk about, but I want to go deeper into what that means. And then Mark Andreessen, who kind of popularized it around the 2000s, defines it as product market fit means being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market. So obviously these people have talked a lot more in depth about this, and there's a whole bunch of knowledge out there around it. But I want to introduce a framework that might help you with this in more common terms, and then look at some examples of how this actually works, because if you don't get this right, then it's really hard to grow your business. And the biggest issue I have with it is it talks about market, it doesn't really talk about customer, and I'm going to talk about how the distinction I make there. And so while product market customer fit isn't as sexy, I think it helps with the understanding of when you're trying to achieve these things. So let's start with the product first, because this is where people normally start when they're starting a business, and we'll use this mainly in terms of like you're selling some kind of good, a food product or item that you're selling on Shopify. So we'll keep it in terms of that mainly. And so people start here all the time, and they try and make this great product, but they don't think about the other aspects of the customer and the market that we'll get into and how it all fits together. And so it's a dangerous place to start, but the thing to remember about it is every product is there to solve a problem. And so if you think about it in terms of that, rather than I want to make this product and change it, switch it to in terms of what problem am I actually solving for people, that's going to get you many steps ahead of what most people do, where they think something's a cool idea. And then the next part of it is the product must be unique in some way, and we'll talk about that in the next two sections a little bit more. But if we start with those core concepts, so you're solving a problem in some unique way. So then let's talk about the customer. And so you've got to have a picture of your ideal customer, of who you're really talking to, and most people don't take this to the extreme that it really should be taken to. And so when we look at a market, people throw around like TAM is a very popular word, total addressable market, and that kind of thing. They don't really narrow it down into what the real ideal customer is and get specific. So they might have some vague demographics, sometimes some psychographics, which demographics are kind of age and gender and maybe location, things like that. Psychographics are how people, what they believe, what they think about, the emotional side of things, and that gets us closer to the point of what we want to talk about. But they think about in terms of serving millions of people instead of just serving a few key people, and this is why this is important. So if you do the math into what makes your business successful. So we talked before, only 4% of businesses make it past $1 million a year in annual revenue. And so let's set that as our first goal. And then obviously if you times this by 10, you'll get to 10 million. So it gives us a good benchmark to think about. And so if you had an average order value, so say one product, and it's only $40, we'll keep it cheap. Normally your average order value will be higher than that, and you'll have upsells and stuff like that. But one product, $40, and it'll be a recurring product, so people are going to buy it every month, so 12 months. If you are selling that to get to $1 million, you only need, 2,084 customers. And so rather than think about if you're trying to make a product for millions of people, you only need like 2,000 people to make that work and have $1 million business, and that's a great first step. And obviously that expands to 20,000 people to get to 10 million. And that's not that hard either. Like 20,000 people out of millions allows us to get a lot more focused. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake, is we go way too broad thinking this is for everyone, rather than go narrow and bringing it down to who it really matters. And so like in our business, like to work with us, it's like $2,000 a month. So people stay with us the long term. $1 million is just 24 clients. So I can make these videos and hope they be super popular for millions of people, but it doesn't matter. All I need is 24 people who believe what I believe, who take the time to actually watch these and care about what I say and think I have some value, and we're off to the races. And then it's 240 people to get to 10 million. Like, it's not a lot of people, and we get lost in the weeds of trying to go too big, too broad, and it hurts us in the beginning. Like, there's a time to go broad later, but you're not Nike now, you're Nike when it started. And we'll talk about that as an example later on too. And so how would you describe the person that is really your ideal customer? And not a vague description, but like getting really dialed into who they are. So for an example, like, I'm a vegan and I take protein powder. And so you could say, oh, I've got a vegan protein powder, and there's all these vegans and people who need protein, like everyone needs protein, so I could sell this to everyone. But if we really niche that down one step, we go, why would this person be taking protein? So I go to the gym, and in order to go to the gym, like, I want to grow bigger muscles. That's one of the reasons that I go there. I lift weights to grow bigger muscles. So I need protein for that reason. So now we're ticking a few more boxes. So I'm a vegan who wants to get bigger muscles, grow bigger muscles, all right? And I understand that protein is for that purpose. So that's a bit of education, right? And your education-based branding to make sure that people understand that protein and muscle building is connected, and you can't have one without the other. And so we start to dive down into that. I'm also a person who doesn't like a lot of, I read ingredients, right? And so I don't want fillers and bulking agents and all this other crap that goes into a lot of supplements, or into supplements as well, but especially protein powders to make them taste nice, sugar and artificial sweeteners and all these kind of things. So I'm looking for a very refined product in terms of no excess ingredients. And so now we've got kind of 4 things. So no excess ingredients is added onto that list. And we're starting to get a real clear picture of the type of a person who, or our customer, our real ideal customer, who would buy a product like that. And that allows us to narrow down what our product actually is and build a product for the specific person, because most of us build a product and then try and find some people to sell it to. But if you find the person you want to really serve and fix the problem that they're dealing with, then suddenly it becomes a lot easier. And so you can keep drilling down into who that person, like you might put an age group, like I'm 43, I'm not your usual gym goer who wants to build muscle. Those people are usually like in their 20s. And so 20s, 30s, probably, 20 to 30 is probably a better age range. Who's more interested in growing muscle, men or women? Probably men, so you might want to focus more towards the male market and frame things for that way. Or you'll have a different message where it's like protein powder for females and what that language is. And so trying to drill down exactly who you're talking to, and imagine that you only need like 2,000 of those people or 20,000 of those people that fit a very specific set of criteria, makes it a lot easier when you're designing your product of who you're going to sell it to. Or if you've got a product, figuring out why you made those choices in that product, because you probably made them along a bunch of beliefs that you had in terms of what you couldn't find in the market. You wanted a product for yourself, and so you made all these decisions, but maybe not consciously, or you're not putting them into your marketing and telling people about them. And so it allows us to drill down into that deeper level and really get fixed on the customer. This is why customer is so important in this product market customer fit part. It defines it all interlinks. Like, you've got to have 3 of them. You've got to have the intersection of the Venn diagram of the 3 circles and get that sweet spot right in the middle. But it's so important to get this right. And then when you're starting a business as well, you're also in learning mode. And so if you haven't got to $1 million in revenue yet, and I'd say even to $10 million, you should be massively learning off your customers. And so we get in this habit of like running a Shopify store, and it's like, oh yeah, people give us money and some of them come back and some of them don't. And sometimes we get customer service questions and that kind of thing, versus how do I talk to like every one of my customers? If someone's bought it, talk to them. Like, why have they bought it? Like, ask for surveys, reviews, what did they like, what didn't they like? And it gives you a way to shape your product going forward, and also shape your marketing messages of what people found to be really defining. Like in the vegan protein powder example, there's people who will go, oh, I don't want artificial sugar, but I don't want artificial sweeteners either. I'd rather it taste really bad, but don't put any sucralose in there, which is a kind of natural extracted from cane sugar sweetener that a lot of people think is bad for you, but actually generally the medical science doesn't agree with that at all, and a lot of the testing is extrapolated from rats and all this other kind of random things. Anyway, that's a total tangent. And so you might have people who already have a belief about sucralose that you want to ignore out of your market, or you need to help change that belief in your messaging to be like, I know your favorite health guru said that, but your health guru quoted these studies that were complete rubbish. So I need to educate you on that. And so that's kind of customer, right? And how that all fits together. Now we're moving on to market. So when we talk in the usual definition of product market fit, I interpret market as they're talking about customer a lot of the times. Why I like to draw it out as a distinction is because I see market as the competition that you're going up against, right? So the market is all the other products that are out there that you're going to be competing with. And no business exists in a vacuum, and so we really need to make sure that we stand out in the market. So, for example, if we're creating a vegan protein powder and there's a whole bunch of vegan protein powders already out there, then we're going to have to do something to stand out and be different. If that is the all natural ingredients and getting rid of all the rubbish and that kind of thing, and there's no one else doing it, then that gives you a natural way to stand out. But you have to drill into that. So realize that the market is full of competitors, and you need to be responding. Maybe responding is the wrong word. You need to know what's happening in your market and be able to position your products in a way that's different to your competitors. If they're saying this about we're using stevia, you can come out and position and go, well, stevia tastes like rubbish and has a bad aftertaste, and that's why they add other flavorings in to kind of counter the bad aftertaste of the stevia and a lot of powders, and sucralose is better. So you can have those conversations with people that help them choose between your product. Also realizing that a lot of people, like, there are people who want a lot of education and people who want the surface level things. It's like, oh, that checks my box, there's no junk in there, like, tick, I'm vegan, tick, like, that's enough for me to make sure that I buy this. But the real, like, if you're thinking about like 2,000 core customers, the ones that really care about all this stuff are the ones that are going to stay with you forever, because they understand the differences, or they're going to keep an eye out in case anyone else tries to copy you or do similar things and make a choice based on that. And then you need to be in touch with your market too, or your customers, I should say. And so the important thing for the market is having a unique benefit and something that is beneficial to your customers. So it can't just be uniqueness for the sake of it. I remember some marketing example, right? If you decide to make yellow cars and only yellow cars as a car company, that's unique, but it's not necessarily beneficial unless you're only selling them to the New York taxi company, which is well known for its yellow cabs. Your being unique isn't enough. It's got to be a benefit to the customer that they actually want. Again, tying back to that customer. Or it can appear unique as well. And this is where we get into talk about marketing and branding, and how the education-based branding that we can show to people, because sometimes you just have to tell people why it's unique, and why your product is made a certain way, and other people who haven't had that conversation and haven't told people get left behind. So there's some famous examples of that in the past as well. And so the important thing is obviously understanding your customer, making a product that those customers, that very specific customer, is going to absolutely love and want to keep using for the rest of their life, basically. And then how that fits into the market. Is someone already doing something similar, or too close that you can't really distinguish? If you're like nitpicking over some little stevia versus sucralose, it might be a feature that is too hard to get a whole bunch of the market behind you and have a successful business. I heard the story, I don't know if this is true or I have no verifiable facts behind this, but Elon Musk apparently wanted to go into chocolate because he was having this feud with Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett's got See's Candy and that kind of thing, but he couldn't find a way to make a chocolate 10x better than what was currently being done in the market, so he decided not to go into that business. And so he was looking for that 10x order of magnitude of making it better. And I think that's a good frame of rather than we make these little incremental, our product's this much better in this area and this area, and you've got to make a massive gain between you and your competitors. And if you can launch that and open up the category and then become the leader in the category and grow that position and grow the category, that's really what you're looking for. That's a whole different video. And so we'll talk about category leadership and that kind of stuff at some other point, I'm sure, in the future. And so in order to bring all those together, I like to use the definitions. So thinking about making a unique promise to solve a specific customer's problem. And so a specific customer, we've talked about that, get really tight on that. We're solving a problem for them. So we're not just giving them a product. People want to buy the solution to a problem. The famous marketing thing is people don't want to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit. They want to buy the hole. And they don't even really want to buy the hole. They want to buy whatever that drill is going to go to mount the bookshelf on the wall or whatever. And the feeling of them making something with their own hands and being a do-it-yourself type of person or a home handy person. And so you're looking at deeper reasons of why what problem you're solving, and then a unique promise. So if you're making the same promise as everyone else, it's not really going to stand out in the market. So a good example is if you look at any fitness stuff online, and there's a thing called V-Shred, which I'm not endorsing the programs by any stretch of the imagination, don't know anything about it, haven't done it, but their marketing is really genius. And so their current positioning, if you're trying to sell weight loss, everyone's done, hey, lose 200 pounds in the next 30 seconds and blah, 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 blah. There's now whatever that new pill is going around the market at the moment, where it's oh, this amazing weight loss pill, do nothing, take a pill, lose weight. There's always going to be that kind of stuff floating around the market. So what's the unique positioning that's really going to make it stand out? That unique pill, weight loss, all the celebrities are taking it, blah, 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 is a good way to stand out and make it unique and make a unique promise. What V-Shred have done, so they've do a thing about don't do cardio. And so their whole positioning and their whole story and all their videos start with don't do cardio. And everyone's wait, but I thought I had to run to lose weight. But I hate running, so this sounds interesting. Can I lose weight without running? And that unique promise that they're making, lose weight, and kind of they do eat whatever you want, and not quite. They kind of imply that in the videos. So they're implying, just getting back my screen and my notes so I keep vaguely on topic. So they focus on that kind of promise that is unique to make it stand out for people. And you've got to do that in your business. And sometimes that's a layer of marketing on top of your product. But the more you bake it into the product, the more successful you're going to be. Seth Godin refers to meatball Sunday. And so no one wants a meatball Sunday, which is where you have a meatball and everyone's yeah, this is the product that we've made. And then you put ice cream on it because that's the marketing, and the ice cream is going to sell the product. And these departments don't talk, versus how do we just make a really delicious sundae that people want to eat, and get product and marketing in alignment, rather than marketing being an afterthought of here's what we made, go sell it to everyone. And that's important too. You might not, if you already have a product, you're probably watching the video, you don't have a product, you already have a product, so it might not apply to you, but it's interesting when you start thinking about how we create our businesses. So let's get into some examples of how this stuff can work for you. And so use some bigger one. Hopefully you've heard vaguely about these examples. So we'll start with a real obvious one. So Nike, where it's easy to look at them now and go, oh, they're so successful because they sponsor all these athletes and they talk about they have all this brand and the swoosh and all that kind of stuff. When you look at how a company got successful, it's not what they do to maintain their success. And so you go back to the early days. So Shoe Dog is the book by Phil Knight, who founded Nike along with Bill Bowerman. Great read to hear, like, no company is easy to start, no matter how many billions of dollars it has now, and reading that story. And so in the beginning, Phil Knight was a long distance runner. And so in those days, a lot of the shoes that people were making were for sprinters. And so they weren't suitable for long distance running. They didn't have cushioning and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not a shoe expert in the running shoe market by any stretch of the imagination. And so they went and first imported a shoe back. Their original name was Blue Ribbon Sports was their name. They went and imported a shoe from Onitsuka Tiger, which is now a brand that's kind of come back. It turned into Asics, and now they're bringing back their original shoe under that name too. And they imported that into the States for long distance runners. And then they started to improve on that shoe and like made the waffle iron sole and that kind of thing. But it was all about these long distance runners and how did you make a better shoe for them. Phil Knight was selling these shoes at running meets, like out of the boot of his car and that kind of thing, because he knew who his market was. He knew where they were. They were at these running meets, the long distance runners, try the shoes, and started to build like a groundswell through that. And that's how it all got started. So you think, oh yeah, like Nike just like blew up obviously and turned into $1 billion company. That's not how it works. Everyone starts at the same position. They're talking to their customers. They're learning what worked in the shoes, what didn't work, adjusting the product, making it better. And now they spend billions of dollars on marketing. But before it was literally talking to customers. And that's how the company got started, and why it is where it is now is that closeness to customers that they had in the very beginning. Otherwise it would have gone nowhere. Another example, so True Classic is a t-shirt brand. You might have seen their Facebook ads and Instagram ads all over the internet and that kind of thing. So they took a very simple product, a t-shirt, and then they wanted them not wearing it, but they make it like tight fit across the chest and the arms for guys who want to look better in their t-shirt. So it looks like they've gone to the gym more than they probably have, because they thought t-shirts were baggy and loose in different places, and it's like nice over your stomach and hide your pot belly and that kind of thing. So they took a product that was real common, like everyone knows a t-shirt. There was nothing unique about the product, but then they made it unique by talking to a specific customer, finding out what they really wanted, what those deep desires were, which is not have my chest show off in the t-shirt even, but like I want to look more attractive in my t-shirt and like more attractive to the gender that I'm attracted to. And so you want to make sure that you're understanding the deep reason why people are actually buying this product. And again, these specific customers who want that specific outcome are buying the t-shirts for that reason. People who don't care about their appearance don't care about their t-shirt, and the message falls on deaf ears for them. And so how does that work? So you've got a product that was pretty simple, but they improved the product to talk to the specific customer, and they were doing something that no one else in the market was doing, which was talking about the whole fit around the chest and the arms for a unique message. And if you watch their advertising, a lot of it revolves around how attractive the person feels or is to people. So it's interesting how you can create that out of something so common and often a product that is already well established in the market in terms of like everyone buys t-shirts. You can just put a spin on it to make it better, and suddenly you've got a big business out of it. It's interesting, like a little digression, but if you start a business where you're trying to create an absolutely new category where no one's ever used the product before, that can be a lot more difficult, because you've got to educate the market on this weird thing that they've never had. Like if you invent a new type of food and no one knows what, it's like, what does it taste like or whatever, and it's all weird, is a lot harder than if you start making dumplings, where people know what a dumpling is, they understand it and that kind of thing, and you've got your twist on it to make it more unique. And so if you look for a market where the product's already popular, I guess, and then what's that tweak on it, then that can be an easier way to build a company than trying to do something completely different that no one's ever seen before, because that involves a lot of education. Anyway, third example would be Liquid Death. So I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Again, lots of ads all over the Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. A very big, grew up into like $100 million company at least, I think. And that's water in a can. And so the founder of the company kind of saw, he was at a concert or something like that. I think he was working in promotional events, or I can't remember exactly the story, but saw people, they were sponsored, the bands were sponsored by the energy drink company, so they had these cans of energy drink on the stage, and they had tipped out all the energy drink from it, and they were putting water in it because they just wanted to stay hydrated while they were doing their sets. And he was like, why isn't there a cool brand of water? And so the product was very simple, water. Like, they didn't do anything differently to the water to make it special. As far as I know, I don't think they're claiming that they've got any special vitamins and minerals or any kind of stuff in there. They changed the packaging, so they changed it from, we're used to drinking like glass bottles or plastic bottles for water, and they put it in a can. Why not water in a can? Like, you have all your energy drinks and that kind of thing in a can, soft drinks and that kind of thing. People like drinking out of cans. Let's put it in a can. So a little tweak on the product and the packaging to talk to a specific type of customer who wanted to drink water, but they wanted to drink cool water. So if you look in the market, and we go into the market and we go, oh, there's like Fiji water and Evian and all these like fancy Perrier, something like that, fancy glass bottles, and all these like natural mountain spring water, like never touched by human hands ever, was all the stories that these water companies were all competing on the same thing in different formats. And they came in and said, well, we're going to do water, but we're going to make water cool. And so when people are holding the can, it's like, what the hell is that? Like, people talk about it has a big skull on it and stuff like that, and it's like liquid death and very heavy metal and that kind of thing. So to attract a specific type of customer who's like, I want to drink water, but I want to drink this cool water, and it just stands out on a shelf of like, what's that? Oh, like, it sounds like this like energy drink that's so high in caffeine that it's going to kill you, but it's really water and it's healthy and that. So that kind of contradiction in terms, and it blew up into a big brand. And that's like very simple product, but different marketing, different positioning on it to make it cool. So cool water, right? So if you think about how you're going to build your company, build your brand and that kind of thing, hopefully these ideas give you an understanding of how it works and how you kind of map this out to the psychology. So what is your product doing? How is it unique? What's the specific customer that you're talking about? What's a real ideal customer? And drill down and get a real deep understanding. Like, liquid death water isn't for the person who at the tennis court who's like, yes, I'm having my Evian and I feel very posh about it and all that kind of thing. It's for a specific type of person. Like, I know I've seen parents have written in and been like, so great, you've got my kids drinking water and that kind of thing, because they just like the can and the cool name and stuff like that. Like, you've tricked my kids into drinking water. Or like 20-year-olds, like, they know their market and they know who they're talking to, and their ads will speak to that market. So understanding your customer, and then how do you stand out in the market? If you're just doing a Me Too business where it's like, oh yeah, these people have made lots of money, so now I'm going to do exactly the same thing and I should make lots of money. Like, that never works. You see it in every kind of evolution of business where especially new categories are created, right? So like Uber invents ride sharing and competes with Lyft and that kind of thing and gets the head start. And then a bunch of other companies come in and they do it. They might win geographically because it's a very geographical business, and Uber had to expand as quickly as possible around the entire world. So if you go to Asia, like Grab is more popular. We have different ones in different countries, but you're trying to grab that market share. And most of the companies that come in second, third, fourth, fifth are too slow and don't get that market domination. So maybe what's a better example of Groupon businesses were like very popular 10, 15 years ago, where it's like whatever it was, Groupon or Grab One or whatever, there was some first brand, and then everyone's like, I can make a website that does the same thing. And then obviously 20 websites that all do the same thing don't work. That's not how the market works. We're looking for one unique thing. So if you go in there and you're like, I'm going to make a protein powder, and it's a whey protein powder and it's just like everyone else's. Maybe we think it tastes a little bit better or blah blah. It's like you're not going to get anywhere. So who is your specific customer? Why is the product specifically tailored for that specific customer and all built together, and why is that different? Why is that person, that specific customer, not being served in the market at the moment? And if you use that framework, it should make it easier to have a successful product. And then it's about communicating all those things to your specific customer as well, and reaching them. Like that's the next two steps, right? Being able to communicate the message, and that's where copywriting and being a good communicator comes in. And then how do you reach them cost effectively so you can do it without running out of money in the process? If you figure out those components, like, this stuff isn't rocket science, it's just really hard to do, and there's lots of little nuances into it. That's why every business doesn't blow up completely. It hits a ceiling. And so working through these aspects is how you make sure that you don't hit that ceiling, that you can keep growing past it and continuing to be successful. So remember the definition. So think about a unique promise to a specific customer. Screwed up my own thing. A unique promise to solve a specific customer's problem. That's what you're looking for. If you don't have an answer to that question, then it's going to be really hard to grow your business. Good luck. Hope this helps, and I'll see you in another video soon.